All right, pesky and powerful piriformis. We're going to dig into a few things to talk about how to handle it. If you've read the newsletter, I'm going to walk you through the same sequence. Sometimes it's helpful to get it in motion and also to have me just talk you through it. So make sure that you have with you a blanket and a strap. If you don't have a strap, you can use some other things, oftentimes a kitchen towel or a bath towel or a bathrobe or like a sweatshirt where you can use an arm, a sleeve on each side of the leg. We can use that. So grab your props, blanket, strap, and body, and we'll meet back on the mat. When you get there, recline all the way down onto your backside, knees bent. Take a second with the knees bent, feet wide, let the arms rest anywhere they can. Notice how you feel in the waist. You might feel a little bit short-waisted, so plant the elbows, walk the shoulders up the mat, pick up the head, tuck the chin, let the hands rest for a second. If you have lower back discomfort to pair with piriformis, you're going to tip the knees together and pop the feet out a little bit, maybe not quite the width of your mat, but just a little bit so that the knees tip together and you can just assess what's going on in the piriformis and how you're feeling. Left leg stretches out nice and long, right knee hugs into the belly, out to the armpit, into the belly. Left leg is active, foot is flexed. If you want more, you can hover it. If you want less, just let it rest. And we'll get right into it. You're going to take the right knee across the body in the direction of the left hip, but don't go so much that you roll over. Both hips are still down. This might be enough. You might feel that on the outside of the hip. If you have a therapy ball, you can take the ball and run it around the side. Oftentimes I use the heel of my hand and just push on the outside. You can also use your fingers and just dig in a little bit to the meat of the muscle. This may get where you're looking to go. This may not feel like much of a stretch at all. And if it's not enough, hug the belly in, take hold of the knee, not on the kneecap itself, but grabbing the shin, and we're going to lift the knee up and in the direction of our left shoulder. Hips stay down. And that may get a little more into our piriformis. Same thing, you can offer the hand to walk around the outside of the glutes and the hip and the muscle there. My only caution in this posture here is if the only place that you feel this is in the panty line on the right side, then it's probably creating too much strain and you're pulling too hard. So if you feel it on the panty line, back off a little bit and then see if you can squeeze it into the chest without squeezing in and pulling up. We don't want to feel it in the panty line. We're trying to get the outside of the hip. Come back to center, stretch right leg out, pause for a second, see what you feel. Bring the left knee in. Same option with the right leg, stretch it out, flex the foot, hover or leave it. Left knee squeezes in and then out to the armpit, into the body, out to the side, just a few times, see what you feel like. And then we're gonna take the left knee in the direction of the right hip, hips stay down. Take hold of the left hand, we're gonna massage the outside, either fingertips digging into the meat of the muscle or hand, the heel of the hand rubbing on the outside, either one. If this isn't enough, hands come to the shin and we lift and reach it up in the direction, trying to find the line between the right shoulder and the left knee. Moving in that direction, that'll get us deeper into this muscle, and that may be enough. Now, if you're just doing this class because you're kind of curious about the piriformis and you're running it through its paces and you want to keep it healthy and performing well, awesome. If you are taking this class because you're actively experiencing the pesky piriformis part of it, tread lightly, go gently, don't overdo anything. We're just putting it through its paces, trying to help it soften and target it. Gently bring everything back. Stretch the legs out long. Maybe a big full body stretch. You can point the toes, flex the feet. Bend the knees again. Right leg, we're going to pick it up high to the sky. Right ankle to left thigh. Open the knee out to the side. Pause for a second here. Did you get short-waisted? If you did, plant the elbows, walk the shoulders up the back, pick up the head, tuck the chin. And then take a minute and assess. How do the hips feel? Do they feel level Or do they feel canted to one side or the other? If they feel like you're wobbly a little bit, there are a couple choices. I would recommend hugging the belly in and shuffling that left foot forward just a little bit, not even a full foot worth, but just enough. That should help you feel like hips are nice and level. Hug the belly in, gently lift the left foot off the floor, scoop the tailbone to that left knee. That should help you feel like someone's pushing your belly down onto the floor. You should feel cemented on the low back. Flex both of the feet to protect the knees. You can take your hands behind the left thigh. If they don't fit, get a kitchen towel and grab hold. You don't have to interlace the fingers. And if it's difficult to get the fingers back here and interlace them, use a prop. If we interlace them and it's so tight that we're actually pulling on the joints themselves, that's not good. That'll make arthritis for our little hands. You don't want that. So strap, kitchen towel, whatever you want, you can grab hold here, flexing both feet, gently rolling the right leg out to the side. Now this can be done up against a wall. Sometimes I like to put this left foot up against a wall and push, but it's also freeing to do it in the middle of the room. So to get the same intensity of having a wall, I'll give you this cue. What happens if you think about squeezing like we do in tree pose, squeezing left thigh and right ankle together? Woo, right? You feel it? It opens everything up. Keep that engagement, hug the belly in, scoop the tailbone towards that left knee, soften the jaw. Jaw shouldn't be jutting up to the sky. And if for some reason this version of pigeon isn't enough, know that you could grab the whole right leg, stretch that left leg out long, hovering and reaching, and you could rock a little bit from side to side. Opportunities for you to play. This is just a short sequence, so you may want to break this down later. Left foot comes back down. Stretch the right leg out, maybe wide leg windshield wipers for a minute before we pop over to the other side. I like to drop the knees to one side, opposite arm overhead, gazing in the same direction as the knees, so you get a gentle rocking along the occipital ridge there. And we'll come back to center. Heel toe the feet in a little bit. Make sure you're not short-waisted. Walk the chest up the mat a little bit. Left leg up high, left ankle over right thigh, open the knee out to the side. Hug the belly in, right leg comes off the floor. We should be able to see right toes, right knee, all in line with the right hip. Don't let the knees rock to one side or towards the belly button because that shifts the whole body. So everything stacked up nice and tall. Hug the belly in, scoop the tailbone towards the knee, flex both feet. Hands come behind, right thigh if we can, adjust the jaw. If you're holding behind, we do the same cue here. Squeeze left ankle and right thigh together. Ooh, now find the balance between too much and too little. If the hands fit easily behind, you can help yourself out by taking left elbow and gently pressing it to open the side knee. Another option is both hands come over to the left thigh, right hand inside on the back of the thigh, left hand to the outside. And I can gently pull right hand towards me and push left hand away. That externally rotates the thigh. However, double check that your right knee didn't just pop over to the side because that loses everything else. So find the balance. 1 or 2 more breaths. Hugging the belly in should still feel cemented to the low back and the ground. Open mouth exhale if you need it. Let it all go. Right foot comes down, left leg stretches out, rock a little bit from side to side. And we'll roll all the way to one side. This is where you're going to want your blanket. If you are practicing on a hardwood floor or some kind of space that's not very comfortable, I would recommend taking a blanket. I've just opened mine up. It's folded in half. I'm going to lay it down on the side here so that I can put my not very padded hip on top of it. Left arm's gonna come over and make a little pillow for myself. So I'm laying on my left side. And I'll scooch up a little bit so my sweet little indie dog is not blocking your ability to see me. All right, so prop yourself up. Knees are bent. Inside edges of the feet touching a little bit. And we want them to touch so that we can feel through whether or not the big toe mounds are touching. That's how we know if our hips and our feet are all lined up right. Heels touch it. Now they're not way behind me and they're also not way out here. So just find a place where your knees are hugged in a little bit and you feel supported in the belly. Cement those heels together. And we're going to take our top arm, right hand, and put it on the hips. Give yourself a chance to rock forward a little bit. Notice what happens to the knees. Rock back a little bit. Rock forward, rock back. Rock forward. Knees should stay level. Hand on the hip. We're going to keep it down. This isn't about how high we can go. It's just understanding our anatomical range of motion here. Hug the belly in. On an inhale, nice and easy. As we exhale, open the top clamshell. Now, if you roll backwards, you've gone too far. So keep the hip down, open to the best of your ability. Hold it here. Maybe you build up to holding it for 5, 6, 7 seconds. Maybe we start small and then gently put it back down. Fully release, soften everything. Easy breath. Same thing again. Inhale nice and easy. As we exhale, we're going to open the leg, but not enough that we roll backwards. Hips stay pointed down towards the floor. This is getting that piriformis muscle. And then gently put it back down. We'll do one more time. When you're ready, exhale to lift it, holding it for a few seconds, and then gently putting everything back down. Or take the top leg and straighten it all the way out. Now we can leave, sometimes I do this in class where we stack both of the legs on top of each other. You are welcome to do that. That's a higher intensity and it's a little bit harder to do. And as soon as you stack the legs like this, you feel you start to rock back and forth. And if we can't do this with good form, it can aggravate our SI joint. So for the purpose of class today, we're just going to keep the bottom leg bent and it's like a little kickstand. It helps us keep the hips dialed down so we can for sure target what we want without sacrificing our SI joint. Straighten top leg. Inner edge is coming down to the floor. Hand comes to hip, just like before. We're trying to make sure the hips are staying down towards the floor or at least not rolling backwards. Inhale to set. Exhale, we're going to lift the leg up some. We could go as high as we want to. Take it behind you a little bit. Hug the belly in. Bring it forward and tap it down. You can do this a couple times. Find your own rhythm. You don't have to do a million. Just lift. Sweep it behind you a little bit, pushing through the heel, flexing the foot. Sweep it back and set it down. Up as high as you want to go. Doesn't have to be crazy. Take it back. Bring it back, put it down. Bend both knees, relax a little bit. I'm a big fan of the therapy balls and using your hands for self-massage when we have the opportunity and the access to do it easily. This is a great place to do it here too. It's the same thing we were doing before. Heel of the hand pushes right into the hip. Fingers can grab into the meat of the muscle and just move it around a little bit. And for you, you may be able to just straighten the legs and roll onto the belly and roll to the other side. I'm not going to do that because you'll have to stare at my backside. So I'm going to swivel around, cueing the breakdance portion of the Piriformis practice. All right. Laying on your right side, stretch yourself out. Make a little kickstand for your head. Hand comes, left hand to the top of your hip. Double check that wherever your knees are, that the knees themselves are level. If the top knee is behind, we're actually leaning backwards. And if the top knee is too far forward, then we're leaning forward, which is still creating sag in the back. So stack those knees on top of each other, flex the feet, find the inner edges, actively working towards each other. Heels touching, big toe ends touching, left hand on the hip. When you're ready, inhale to set. Exhale, we're going to open that top knee some, but be honest. Sometimes we don't know what the edge is until we find too much. So maybe you do lift it enough that you feel like you're rolling backwards. And then gently come back down. Full breath, pause, recover. It's more important to do just a handful the right way than to do 15 or 20 the wrong way. Hug the belly in. Inhale to prepare. As we exhale, we squeeze that belly, lift the top foot, top knee up a little bit for the clamshell. Don't go too high. And if you find that you did, just subtly lower it a little bit. And come back down, full breath. Exhale to hug the belly in, lift that knee up, keeping toe mounds and heels touching. Pausing for as long as you're comfortable staying here. And then gently let it come up. Straighten top leg. If you need to adjust where your bottom leg is so that you're comfortably resting on the side, go for it. If you're regretting not having a blanket and wish you had one now, go get it and put it underneath to pad your hip. Flex the left foot. Hand comes to the hip again. You want to keep the hips down. Hug the belly in. Lift the top leg up. You can go as high as you want to. It doesn't have to be crazy. And then back a little bit. Not so much that we're arching our back and going crazy. And then bring it forward and tap it down. Nice and easy. These, depending on the intensity of how high you're going, you may or may not need to take a full breath between. You could just float through a couple of these at your own pace. Let everything come down, bend the knees, hug the feet wherever you like them to be. Hand, we're going to push that left heel of the hand into the hip. And you're welcome to use the fingers and dig in here too, oftentimes, especially if we're worried about our hands or arthritis or fatigue in grip strength or any of those things. If your hands are just not feeling it, you don't need to use the fingers. Push with the heel of the hand, you get the same thing. And then the next easiest thing is just to use the ball and roll it out. All right, straighten the legs out. You can swivel back onto the ground and find your strap. I usually have a 10-foot strap that I use for most of my practice, but I will tell you that a 10-foot strap is a little excessive for the leg strap stretching. So whatever strap you're using, take it, fold it in half, find the loop in the middle. And that little loop, we're going to place it on our right heel, not on the arch, on the heel. So really grab the heel, extend it up straight. We're going to have a little bit of tension pulling back. Check in with the low back. If your low back feels comfy and you're good, you could straighten the left leg out long, flex the foot, reach. If your low back is crabby, bend that left foot and put it right back where you are. It helps curve the tailbone up a little bit and support the low back. So either one is fine. We're going to take the strap, one in each hand. As we inhale, we're going to hug the right knee into the chest. And as we exhale, we're going to straighten the leg up. Lift through the heel, pull the toes towards the nose. Pause here. Take a hold of that right hip. We're going to grab the hand with the right hip and roll it down to the floor towards the bottom of the mat. When we grab it and roll, the toes wing out to the side. That's how we know we did it right. Take the toes, dial them back to the nose, grab a hold of the strap. Inhale, foot stays lifted, hug the knee in. Exhale, push and reach. Inhale, we soften. Exhale, push and reach. Take a few of these. Now we're doing this as a short version today for this class, but this is an awesome one to do for a very long time. Not only does it help the piriformis, it's really good for the low back. All right. Let go of the strap. Even if you've got one, don't hold on to it. Flex the foot, walk it across the body in the direction of the left shoulder, but not past. Imagine little strings on the toes. We're pulling those strings towards our face. Hug the belly in, press the left leg into the floor, pushing across the room through the heel. Bring foot back to the center. Grab hold of the strap and gently put the foot down. Pause before you move on. Stretch that right leg out. Let the arms come out. Tuck the shoulders under your back. Whew. Take a big breath and see what it feels like. Oftentimes we rush from one thing to the next really quickly, especially in yoga because we're balancing both sides. But what does it feel like here? Can you feel the imbalance? Can you feel perhaps some ease, some warmth, some tingling? I always feel taller on one side than the other. And that's just a few breaths with one strap. So imagine how you could affect the change in the legs, in the low back, and the piriformis by doing this even more than we are today. We'll bend the right knee, grab the strap, plant the right foot down, we'll lift the left leg up and in. Strap comes to the heel, extend it up to the high to the sky. Evaluate, just because you did it one way on one side doesn't mean the side's the same. So try leg bent, leg straight. Maybe you leave it back, maybe you bring the leg back, whichever one your lower back needs. Grab hold with the strap. I'm going to demonstrate that hip adjustment on this side because it's easier for you to see on this side. Fingers point up to the sky. Imagine that you are getting ready to put your hand in the sock. So we want the thumb to go together with the rest of the fingers. Take those fingers, dial them down to the floor a little bit. Grab hold of your hip. Roll the hip to the floor. Of course, the dog's moving. Roll the hip to the floor. Out of the way, Indy. Come on. There you go. Okay. So we grab hold of the hip and then roll it away. Toes are going to wing out. Dial the toes back. Grab hold. Inhale. Nice and easy into the chest. As we exhale, we lift and reach. Press the right leg into the floor as much as you need to. And imagine that you're balancing something on your foot. What we don't want is for the foot to be dropping up and down while we're doing this. Foot should stay up. Knee hugs in and pushes out. Knee hugs in and pushes out. Find your own rhythm for your breath here. Find the balance between too much and too little. If you're pushing so hard that all you're feeling is trembling and shaking, you're probably pushing too hard. Legs straight up to the sky, let go of the strap. Walk the foot across the body in the direction of the right shoulder, but not past. Left hip stays down. You could do the same adjustment here and gently roll the hip away. If you do that, dial the toes back towards the nose. Imagine little strings pulling the toes up. Hug the belly in, push the right leg into the floor. Bring the leg back to center, gently put it down, release the strap. Whew. Assess how you feel, both legs resting, arms resting. Now you could always try a reclined version of tree pose. I'll do it reclined since we're already here, but you could also stand up and do it standing if you prefer. But since we're already down, we'll go ahead and leave it down. Stretch the right leg out, ground down through the heel, flex the foot as if you're standing on the wall. Left leg, we're going to open it out to the side. Now, when we are laying down like this, usually when we're standing, it's more accessible for some people to bring it up high, the foot high. For recline variation, we're going to try to leave the leg low, maybe even just below the knee on the calf. Flex the right foot, squeeze left foot and right leg together. Hug the belly in. Maybe you bring the hands to heart center, maybe you let them rest on the side, wherever your hands want to be. Imagine that back side of the body straight and strong. We want to find the length, reaching from the right heel through the crown of the head. Externally rotating that left thigh out to the side, not losing contact between the right foot, right leg, left foot. Lift the left knee back up to the sky. Bend the right knee, straighten left leg. Flex the left foot. Reach nice and long. When you're ready, open the right knee out to the side. Find the place where you can put your foot that feels comfortable. If we have it up too high when we're reclined like this, it does create a little bow in the back, and we don't want that. It might feel good to scooch your left foot just ever so slightly to the midline of the mat. Not enough that you're crooked, but just enough that it's easy for your right foot to touch it. Squeeze left leg, right foot together. Think about spiraling right thigh out to the side. Hands can be anywhere you want. It might feel nice to have them at the belly. Might feel nice to have them at heart center. Lengthen through the back of the neck. Hug the belly in. Strong tree trunk here. Just because it's a reclined version of tree doesn't mean that it's an easy, effortless version. Soften. Right knee comes up. Both knees come into the chest. Take a few circles. Roll in both directions. When you're ready, rock to one side. Tuck the chin, plant the hands, push all the way up. Head should be the last little piece. All right, now we're gonna roll on over to meet in all four. Lots of variations when you are in your tabletop. So if you need to take a modification or add padding under the knees, you are welcome to. Plant the hands. Take a few rounds, inhale and belly softens, roll the shoulders back, gaze out. Exhale, we tuck the chin, scoop the tailbone towards the knees, push the floor away. Move at your own pace, just a few more rounds here, warming things up. I like to peek over my hips at the toes on each side. And we'll get into our donkey kicks. Right hand's gonna stay where it is. We're gonna take left hand over to meet it. Side by side, not on top of each other. Hug the belly in, extend the left leg out behind you, flex the foot, bend the knee, and take a few pulses. Now we're not bowing and trying to get a big shape in the belly and the back. We want to push the floor away, hug the belly in, and isolate, just popping the heel up to the sky a little bit. And then gently put it down. Left hand comes over the left side, right hand comes next to it. Notice the chest here. We don't want to be sagging down low. You want to push the floor away, hug the belly in, ground down through that left leg, lift the right leg out, flex the foot, bend the knee, and take a few pulses up to the sky. Try not to let the hips roll out to the side. I say that because I realized mine wanted to do that. And if you notice it, just bring them back to the center, no big deal. Gently put it down. Knees open wide, big toes to touch, sink on back. Lots of variations of child's pose. One of my favorites is to take my hands and flip them around towards my feet, palms up to the sky. When you can do that, you'll notice the shoulders kind of soften towards the earth. And if this isn't your variation, make it your practice. Decide what would feel nice here. And gently bring the hands forward. Rise up. I've got two postures left to show you. The easiest one to show you first is the little piriformis release. So come all the way down to the belly. Now you could do this in bed. However, if your bed is really soft, I would recommend not doing it in bed. And you can have two things nearby. You could have a pillow and maybe a kitchen towel. In my case, I have 2 blankets that I'll keep nearby. But we're going to lay down on our belly wherever you are, floor, bed. You can do this anytime. Elbows are a little bit out to the side. Legs are out straight. So you assess what's going on with the piriformis and figure out. Usually one side is working overtime and you have one side that's crabby and one side that's not. So whichever side is bothering you, that's the side we're going to want to do this on. Start nice and low. And imagine that you are army crawling. So whichever leg we're going to lift, in this case, I'm going to do my left side so that you can see it better. I'm going to start to take that knee out to the side and up a little bit. And then pause here. Now I may find that I can stay low. I can offer a little more opening in the space in my lower back if I can add a back bend to it. So if I can lift my chest a little bit, I could take a pillow a blanket, something that helps me fully soften here. It also creates a little more space in the low back. So if this is comfortable, you could stay here. If it's not comfortable, explore a little bit. The other place that you might feel discomfort, depending on where you're practicing this, is in the knee itself. I'm fine, I'm on a carpet, but if you're on the hardwood floor, this little spot can get really uncomfortable. So if it gets uncomfortable, take a dish towel, take a little pillow, take a blanket roll, and you could put it right under the knee so that it's easy. Find a place for the foot to relax and soften in. When you find that spot, you want to hold your position for 90 to 120 seconds. So no rush. I'm not going to hold it today just because I'm trying to help accelerate and give you the tools that you need so you can do this. But what you should be able to feel if your discomfort is really just from your piriformis creating tightness and pinching, and then by extension, irritating your sciatic nerve, it should free the discomfort that you feel in the legs. So that's the little disclaimer that's in my newsletter also. If you do this practice with your leg like this in the release posture, and you feel no relief and no release, then it's possible what you have has nothing to do with your piriformis. And personally, I had that happen for myself when I herniated a disc in my low back, and I could do that pose all day long and it made no difference because my piriformis wasn't the problem. So take that time. You can do it as many times as you need to, but fully soften and release into it for the 90 to 120 seconds. And then there's one more posture that's nice and easy. You can come up into a little tabletop. If you have a block, you can use a block. It doesn't have to be a block. It could be a cushion or something else. I'm going to use a block. It's another posture that we can do that is a releasing posture, a way that we can keep our piriformis without, without having to really work in this posture. So we'll come all the way down on our back, block on the side so that we're ready. Think of this as bridge pose. We do want to work through the setup the right way. So walk the shoulders up the mat, fingers come down. If you can touch your heels, that's fine. If you can't touch them, we don't have to worry about it. But if you can touch them and like fully grab your foot, it's a little bit too close, because when we pop up, the knees are going to be beyond our ankles. So we don't want that on. We just want to make sure that we can gently touch them, hug the belly in. It might feel good just to lift the hips off the floor and gently come back down. Just like you would in a bridge pose. And then find the block. Hold on to it. When you're ready, we'll ground down through the feet, through the hands. Inhale to lift the hips up, grab a hold of your block and place it underneath near the sacrum, the flat part, and gently come down. All the blocks have three sides. I like to call them Mama Bear, Papa Bear, and Baby Bear. Baby Bear is not going to be enough height here. Mama Bear, which is what I'm on right now, might be perfect. You might find that you could do Papa Bear, in which case we could take the block out and go a little bit higher. It's always worth experimenting to see what works. If you come up onto Papa Bear, you might want to come up on the tippy toes and then slowly release. Find a place where you can tuck the little shoulder blades under, reach long through the back of the neck. Remember, it is always a fluid practice. If you are practicing and it's uncomfortable, come down. And especially when we're in bridge pose here, you don't want to be turning your head to try and check and see what I'm doing on the video. You want to make sure that you are keeping length, keeping weight in the shoulders, and softening into that supported shape. It's an easy place for the piriformis to rest. And anytime you're ready, we'll lift the hips up, move the block, come all the way down onto the floor. Take a little more movement. You can hug the knees in, plant the feet down, and rest. Even if you do a short practice, never underestimate the power of Shavasana, even if it's just a short moment to lay down and tune in to the interior workings and the interior landscape of what's going on. It helps you better address the needs of your body as the day changes. So I hope that helped you. Thanks for practicing with me for the powerful and sometimes pesky piriformis. Thanks, guys.